Hi there, Superconscious Success fam. Welcome back to another episode of our Self Empowered Empath segment with my good friend Lisa Campion. In this segment, Lisa and I aim to guide you towards being that powered up empath that is free of codependency, narcissism, and exposure to those energy vampires. Now it's time for you to power up, and we are here to help you do just that.
And today we have an incredible guest. Super thrilled to meet her. And she's known as the Vampire Slayer. And we are not talking about the vampires that suck your blood, but instead the vampires that suck your energy, known as energy vampires. And she is the founder and host of Empaths Unity, which is a place where the victims of narcissistic abuse can come and visit, get help, and really, try to understand their situation. So we're going to talk to her today about empaths, narcissistic abuse, energy vampires, and how Empaths Unity might help you.
Hey Naima, how are you today?
Good. Thank you for inviting me. Such a pleasure to be with you today.
And thank you so much for being here, because you're talking about one of our absolutely favorite topics, and that is that of energy vampires and empaths, of course. And so we wanted to have you here because you're actually known as the Vampire Slayer. And we actually had the privilege, yourself and I, of talking for a long while, a couple of weeks back, about this topic. And so I thought you would be absolutely perfect for the show, because Lisa and I, we're both empaths, as are you. And we've both been surrounded by energy vampires all over the place. And we've been through our own lot of narcissistic abuse as well. So it's something that's very dear to our hearts. So we wanted to bring you on. So if you can start off by just letting people know how you came to become that Vampire Slayer.
Not by choice, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But when I realized what was going on and discovered this scary, very dark, and also fascinating world of narcissism, which was 5 years ago, I also realized there is unfortunately great ignorance around it. Although tools are available, thankfully now in this incredible online space and strong movement created by survivors and experts. However, the victims themselves are often absolutely not aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I strive to tackle. And this is the reason why I created this online workshop, is really to raise awareness around this question of narcissistic abuse that is so misunderstood at so many levels, specifically by the people who are victim of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when was it that you first realized that you were an empath, that you were actually absorbing the energies of these particular vampires out there?
By being entangled myself with one of them, and seeing my health, my physical health, my mental health declining drastically. So maybe up until then, I was, we're gonna say, lucky not to be around too dangerous narcissists or vampires, a bit toxic friendship or toxic workplaces, but until this specific romantic relationship, that was the turning point when I realized there is something very wrong going on there.
Yeah.
I love it that you brought up the physical aspect, because I think that's something that we, we're kind of used to thinking about, well, emotional abuse and mental abuse, but there is, in the work that I've done with empaths, I've seen incredible physical issues that people have become very ill and very sick and have autoimmune issues and fatigue and a host of kinds of problems. So thank you so much for bringing up the physical part. And that and in all the years that I've been doing psychic readings and energy healings, I often find the physical is what maybe brings people in. They think they're sick and they don't know why, and that's kind of why, or they are sick and they don't know why. Doctors can't find any reasons why, and this is often the entry point for people into this conversation. At least that's what I found.
Absolutely. And I think
Absolutely.
and I think that what you'll find with a lot of these people too, you'll start finding that they're putting on weight. You'll start finding that, you know, they've got all sorts of different, like you said, autoimmune conditions. I know with myself, when I was in those situations, it was a lot of the physical symptoms that were the hardest to deal with. You know, you started having aches and pains, which you didn't know you had no reason why. And like you said, the doctors could figure no reason why you were, you know, all your tests came back normal, but you've still got all of these pains. So I agree with Lisa. I think it's fantastic that you brought that up because it's a very important point. But before we go into that, can you explain, when we talk about energy vampires, we talk about narcissists, can you explain to our audience what an energy vampire is? And are narcissists the only types of energy vampires, or are there different types?
That's a huge question. Thank you, Jennifer, for bringing that up. There are two ways to approach this. You can either consider that you are so empathic that there is nothing you can do. You're just absorbing people's energy, and when those energy are negative or toxic, is impacting your body, your mind. However, I do believe that is also a choice that is also related to a lack of boundaries, energetic boundaries, and letting people emotions affect you. So although we have as empaths this ability to understand and connect much strongly than anybody else with each other, we need some tools to train ourselves to protect and be able to stop it when it's not empowering or enjoyable. So this is when it comes to definition of empath. It is not a medical definition. It is more spiritual, and I would like to emphasize that we have, before talking about the different type of narcissists, it's important to understand that empathy is also a spectrum, and it can be dysfunctional. And in the case of empaths becoming entangled with narcissists, this is what is reflected. There is strong insecurity and this need pleasing and appeasing pain and suffering around us, and we take it on. So empaths have a role to play in this dynamic, this toxic dynamic. And there's a doctor is from Australia as well, and he identified 3 types of empaths. The altruist, which is grounded and secure and has strong values and grounded in his or her leadership. There's the average empath who have a stable life. However, if something goes wrong, he can go. He can find himself or herself back to some insecurity that were not addressed. And there is the dysfunctional empath, the codependent empath. And those are the people who come to Lisa, come to me, myself, when my body was breaking down, when I was completely depleted, not able to leave the bed, with unknown aches and pain, body pains. And those are the ones we want to help, because yes, they are being drained, but they are also not aware that they are letting it happening.
And the thing is
victimized.
And that's the thing. I think as empaths, we need to start to take responsibility for where we are. But I think one of the biggest problems, like you said, is our boundary setting. And it's that it actually comes from very early on in life. A lot of this dysfunction comes from when we were children, or when something happened, I was bullied in the playground, causes low self-worth, causes a whole host of other things, which then lead, especially to when you're an empath, to being attacked by these narcissists. So we don't often recognize it until later on in life, what's going on. Now, can we move from that dysfunctional empath to more of the altruist empath if we start to learn to build our boundaries and to start to really set limits and, boost our self-worth and all that? Can we move across the spectrum?
Absolutely. This is the spiritual awakening and the spiritual journey that we all go through. Thankfully, yes, Jennifer.
Thankfully, yes.
And that's the goal. That's our reason to be.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Hey there. I really hope that you're enjoying this episode, and I ask that you subscribe so that you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes that I publish from any of my different segments. So let me interrupt the show just for a moment to let you know about something amazing that I have to offer you. Firstly, if you haven't yet signed up for my free Superconscious Success Inner Circle, then definitely go ahead and do that now. However, that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. Today, I want to share with you about my brand new website called Universal Consciousness Workshops that hosts some incredible intensives all throughout the year. We have intensives for our 9-anchor transformational process, our Self Empowered Empath process, our 12 Steps to Ascension process, and many more. These 3-day online intensives are incredible and will provide you with insight that will allow you to grow and evolve as the individual you're designed to be. To discover what intensives are available right now, head across to universalconsciousnessworkshops.com/intensives and learn more. However, if you are wanting to receive 25% off both the standard and the VIP tickets for any of the intensives, then all you need to do is become a member of that Superconscious Success Inner Circle, which is absolutely free until I reach 1,000 members, at which time it will start to become premium. Get in now and you'll lock it in free for a lifetime. To sign up, just go to superconscioussuccess.com/inner circle. Okay, thanks so much for listening. Now let's head back to this episode.
It's such a powerful moment, I think, when you come out of that victim place of only feeling like victimized, sort of at the mercy of your sensitivity or at the mercy of these energy vampires. That it happened to me, when I had this moment where I was like, I have a role in this. Like, I got myself into this, I can get myself out. And I had to really move out of that victim, like blaming everybody else, or blaming everyone, when really it's our responsibility to set our boundaries and to clean up any inner wounding that we had that led us there in the first place. And
it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work.
It's hard. And I think support. So it's so beautiful that you have a community and a support structure for people that are going through that process.
I think one of the most beautiful things is the power that you can feel once you actually get to that place that you go, you know what? I'm worthy of this. And all of that stuff that all those people said to me is absolute nonsense. And once you get to that place and you recognize, okay, I'm an empath, I accept it, I'm going to use it as a power rather than as a disadvantage, then you actually start to to recognize how powerful you actually are. And, you know, us, as I was talking to you, Naima, when we were on the call, empaths, if we learn to do this and we learn to go from that dysfunctional place to that altruist place, then we can help so many people out there because we can read the energies. But unfortunately, there's so many dysfunctional empaths out there that it's very difficult.
Yes, that's the tragedy and also the beauty. Yes, is the turning point when you realize, first of all, as Lisa mentioned, you are not a victim. You've been victimized, you've been abused, you've been taken for granted, but as it was not your fault, you didn't deserve that. But now you know is your responsibility, and you have a choice, and you have to find the tools and the strategy to get out of there. And this is when the community and the support system come into place, finding mentors, coaches, healers that been through the same and can understand you. Which is challenging, but as I mentioned, now we have an online community. The conventional medical system is still catching up. There are so much they need to learn from us, healers. And so it is our duty, actually, because rather than using our empathy to try to heal and soothe a vampire who they're never
going to change.
Never gonna change, and also resent you for it. Because it's a deep envy. Narcissists are so attracted by empaths because they envy us. It's not the other way around. It's so
they've
sad.
actually got very low self-worth themselves.
So
now,
once we get the power back, the duty to use this power to drive social change and contribute to the community. So rather than choosing someone who don't like what you are giving, you're giving it to the wrong people.
You're giving your energy away to the wrong people.
So direct it to people who are waiting for you.
I think it's so hard because as empaths, we're so loving and compassionate. And I really used to think that if I loved somebody enough, they would change. That healing, and of course, I work as a healer, so that power of love and the attention and all that would heal them actually to the point where they could then, show up in my life the way that I wanted to. And I think that was a really important shift for me too. To understand that,
Absolutely.
That's the dysfunction. I would like to
the codependent side.
Yes, it is ego. We believe that we can change people, we can save them, we can fix them, we can rescue them. And shifting from a victim to empowered empath is when you realize that it is important to let go of control. You cannot control anybody. And is learning to receive, give and receive, and set a reciprocal relationship with people, because they
make sure it's two-way
to address. There's a shadow to address. As a codependent, we are so intrusive, so needy, so clingy. We want to help people who sometimes don't
want it, and they'll actually say, I don't need your help. Don't quit helping me. This is the thing. We're in those situations with these energy vampires, and they're literally screaming to us, leave me alone. I don't need your help. And yet, because we feel like we can change them or we can make them feel better about themselves, because most of them are victim mentalities anyway. But don't you think, I know with myself, when I was going through it, I feel like it was the biggest lesson that I've ever had to learn, because it really has allowed me to build my self-worth and my self-confidence and and really deal with that inner healing and that inner side, which I probably would never have if I hadn't have come in touch with this narcissist or these energy vampires. Don't you think it's a really strong lesson?
It is, and thank you for bringing that up. I call them dark angels.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say something might be a bit controversial and weird, but I will be forever grateful to this psycho that I met.
Me too.
Because I was living in autopilot.
Yep.
And numbing myself and being extremely negative about everything. And when it started becoming physically violent, this is when I woke up. This is when I woke up to my true self, to my abilities, to my power. And this is when my life
really started. And that's the thing. I just feel like I am forever grateful to these people. And that's all these people, all these energy vampires that have one by one have just helped me to become the person that I am, to help me to build that power and that strength and to know, look, you're worth it. And because as a victim of these sort of vampires, obviously your self-worth and everything is squashed, because you start to become entangled with them and they start to drip stuff into your head, which, you know, makes you question things. And so I think that if you can really take it as a learning lesson and not be victimized, not be like, oh, well, you know, I'm a victim for the rest of my life and this person did this to me and therefore I'm never going to be able to recover, and instead go, okay, what have I learned from this? How can I start to look at, like Lisa does with her programs, like Lisa and I are creating a program at the moment where we help people to deal with those inner child wounds that are really that are blocking you from moving forward from this stuff. So I think it's really powerful.
You cannot recover until you understand what you need to recover from. So thank you for your work. The key point is, and I'm so lucky, and we are all here to have been able to understand what was going on, and it was not easy. I had to put two and two together. I didn't know I have complex PTSD, that all those weird physical symptoms were mainly emotional. I didn't know anything about codependency. I keep meeting people, and I was one of them, who truly believe generally that being a people pleaser
was
is
a good thing.
Personality trait. Oh my goodness. This is the number one thing I'm fighting against. People pleasing, perfectionism is a trauma response, is phoning. And this is really, really important to understand. As soon as you get that, then it becomes so much easier. But the important step in healing is understanding. Self-educate yourself, read a lot. And some people don't want to know the truth. Because then you have to face your shadow.
And especially and exactly, your shadow side. None of us like to face it because we don't like to feel like there's something wrong with us, but we all have a shadow side, and it's important that we connect with that shadow side and we accept it and we move through it and we heal from it. But a lot of the times too, it's really difficult because the people that are the narcissists or the energy vampires in our lives are people we genuinely love and we've spent a lot of time with. We've got family members that are like it. We've got lifelong friends that are like it. We've got relationships that, you know, you might have been together for 10 years and then you realize that I can't do this anymore. And so we become trauma bonded. We become like entangled with this particular person. And so then saying goodbye to that person, you know, there have been parents that have had to say goodbye to their kids because of it. There have been kids that have had to say goodbye to their parents because of it. And they're really hard situations to be in.
Yeah.
Yes. The first thing, the first step, understanding and what's going on within yourself. And the second step, and that's part of my program as well, my recovery program, is assessing your environment. You are the product of your environment. And if we can give offer takeaway in this call to the audience who are listening to us, there is one exercise, actually two, but let's talk about this one. Jim Rohn, who was the mentor of Tony Robbins, he said something very famous now, is you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So the first thing to assess your environment and understand your relationship and what you want to get out of them is make a list. Make a list of those 5 people. Who are they? How they treat you? What do you gain being around them? And make also the list of your values. That's something we don't do. We are not trained to understand what our desire, go after what we want. We are not trained to be ambitious and visionaries. Is everything around and your environment, when it's toxic, trying to make you stay small and insignificant? And that's how you develop people pleasing, because you put them first. So when you replace the focus on you, it starts with your values. And if those people don't match with the values you have for yourself, they are not the people that should be around you, and that's your choice. People believe, oh, she's my mother, she's my daughter. Yes, it's difficult, but she's toxic and she's killing you slowly.
And that's the thing, it's killing you, because the fact of the matter is you'll start to see your health starting to decline and this person, that whoever's in your life, is not going to be there for you. They're going to watch you waste away, and they're not going to be there for you anymore. We've got to get to the place that we get through that trauma bond. Once we can get through that trauma bond and we can go, okay, we had a lot of good times, but they're not the same.
Or maybe not.
Well, maybe not in many situations, but I'm talking more about, even some families, I suppose, haven't always had good times. But it's kind of like we've got to get through those trauma bonds and go, it's not what I thought it once was. I've always thought our relationship was different than it actually was. And when you look back, what I like to do is, okay, let's write a list of all the bad things that have happened between you. And I'm not one to focus on bad things. I like to focus on positives, but they're very good at manipulating you and bringing you back in again. And if you can remind yourself of what's happened when that situation, you're less likely to become trauma bonded. You're less likely to become, be brought back into their environment again, because that's one of the biggest difficulties, I think, for empaths and narcissists. The narcissists are very good. They're very good at manipulating.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're quick to tell you no one else will ever love you, or like they bring on that kind of the carrot and the stick, kind of manipulation where that come with me and things will be good. I'll turn into the good person again.
I'm going to change. I'm going to change.
Yeah, or not, and you're going to get, they just double down with the abuse.
Yeah. So you've got to be able to remind yourself of what they were like, because they will, to reel you back in, they will keep, doing what they think is going to make you come back in again. They can promise you the world, and none of it means anything.
But going back to the environment, this is easier said than done when
Absolutely.
everyone around you is actually gaslighting you.
Yep.
Because you might notice there is something wrong with this person. I am always the one at fault. I'm always the one to blame. And then you go try to find support system around, and they are just backing this
This other person.
up.
Yeah.
So some people call them flying monkeys, enablers, and this mess up with your mind even more. And even if your intuition and your body breaking down is actually sending you messages that the situation is not normal.
Yeah, the energy's not
when
good.
you don't have someone around that is mirroring that and the understanding, it takes longer. I mean, it took me 34 years of my life to understand that my family was deeply, deeply dysfunctional, because that's not supposed to be. Your family is supposed to be your main support system. And when you realize that they're actually all against you and you are being scapegoated, I mean, the hurt and the confusion is huge, and it's deeply painful. So it's important to remind that to people. They if you spot one narcissist, this is the tree hiding the forest. Because they are like wolves. They need a fan club to support their fantasy. We are sharing a fantasy. They are creating a smoke screen, and a lot of people are participating, enabling this this fantasy. So really, really assess clearly your environment. And that's the reason why a victim of domestic violence struggles so much to get out, because their best friend don't believe them. Their neighbors, when they start complaining, because the narcissist from day one was create a smear campaign against you. In the middle of the love bombing to you, they are creating smear campaign with your best friend, the people who you grew up with, who was supposed to know you and love you and care for you. Those narcissists are able to turn them against you very easily.
Absolutely. They're so charming. They're so shapeshifter. They're like method actors, you know? So they just like become that role that they're going to play. And
that's the thing. What I've noticed with them is that they're very good at creating their own stories. They're very good at creating their own reality. I mean, we all create our own reality, but they actually believe it within their own minds. So they will start to create stories that, and they're, like you said, they're like actors. So they'll create stories and then they'll tell everybody else about this story as though it's true. And then therefore everybody else becomes part of their team. And so then all of a sudden it's you against 5,000 other people. And so when you need to get out and you need to tell somebody, they go, "Are you kidding me? That's not true. Come on." He's always talking nicely about you, or he's always doing this. We've heard stories of people that, they'll say something nice about you, so the person thinks you actually care. They actually care. But then they'll start going, "Oh, but I'm really worried about her because she's acting really strange right now. And I don't know what's going on with her. And I think she might need a little bit of help." That sort of stuff. So they're kind of putting it in these people's heads so that when something happens, then all of a sudden these other people have got doubts. And that's what it's about. It's about creating doubts in the minds of the other people so that if they're found out, which I think they get caught out a lot of the time, but I think once they found out, that's when they'll start to go, "Okay, I need a team behind me, because otherwise, I've got no fan club." So
I think what you brought up about domestic violence is really important to say too, because it's so common. It's so common, and there, at least in where I live, there's sort of a denial that it's going on, and that people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to believe it's happening. They don't want to believe it's happening to good families, you know, or people they know, you know. And so if you were to bring up anything like that, there's kind of this like, I don't know, this denial and a quieting about it, which I find very upsetting and sadly common.
Yeah. There's two things that we need to tackle all together and unite. First, we live in a world deeply narcissistic, driven by greed and competition. And this is what the narcissists live for.
Thrive
they
on.
compete. And we don't understand that we are not competitive at all. That's why we are being abused. We don't understand this game and how to play it. We are so naive and gullible. So that's the first thing. Understand that it's jungle and is extremely competitive, and people relate to each other in that at that level. And we don't want to be part of it. We believe in the goodness and kindness and beauty and wisdom, and that's how we hold ourselves. So first thing, not everybody's like us, and competition is strong. But the second thing is collectively understand that there is a trauma that is important to address collectively. And when you said that domestic violence is not addressed, is denied, is hidden, is taboo in nice societies where actually success and education is on top of the list, and we don't want to talk about those things, is where it's time to unite and address it at a collective level. Is not something we can tackle with private clients, because yes, you can teach them all the energy healing tools you want. Once the session is over, there is such a huge cognitive dissonance in our society. When abuse is at many levels, oppression, injustice, exploitation. The nature, the crisis we are living is a reflection of our inner world. So
absolutely,
it's really important to keep that in mind.
How do you think we do that? How can we come together as a collective to bring that conversation to the surface?
Education. Education based on not the success, the way school, the conventional school teaches to succeed and be the best, and being successful means having a good career and a nice house. I believe that success is based on self-awareness, self-development, and creativity. So we create an educational system based on cultural and creative activities.
That would be ideal. Yeah, that would be ideal. And I've often said I'd love the school system to change so that, you know, they could incorporate more of this into the young ones, so that as they get older, they understand what self-awareness is. They understand what self-worth is. They understand that, you know, other people's views of them is not a reflection of themselves. But we're not taught that. We're taught that, you know, we go to a carnival and we go on a running race, and then everybody gets a sticker and stuff, because it's about that awareness. But we've got that level of competitiveness in our society, amongst jobs, amongst school, amongst everything, and it's causing this this separation. It's causing this lack of unity that we're all, us empaths, are reaching for. So absolutely. So your empath unity, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, with pleasure. So I collaborate. So yes, now, thankfully, we are trying to move in general from competition toward collaboration.
Yeah.
Because they're also, those narcissists are also realizing, oh, actually it's more profitable to collaborate
Yeah.
at some level. This is what happened during COVID, for example. So that's the one good thing about COVID is that we were forced
You're
to
forced
learn
to, yeah, exactly.
collaboration, and between businesses, etc. So yes, let's move on from competition to collaboration. And what I do is I collaborate with so many different organizations. At the moment, I am very much involved with an amazing lady called Janet Owen. And this is a shout out for anyone who is interested in joining us. She created the Earth Museum.
Nice.
And this is a beautiful way to debunk institutional colonial exploitative narrative we've been fed at school from the beginning. Schools are really, really part of the problem.
Yeah.
In general.
Agree.
So we are just creating an alternative way of educating people and small students, children, and reconnecting them to their creativity. So what we do concretely is we take them to museums. It can be virtually or in person. They choose some items and they are completely free to rewrite the narrative around it.
Nice.
Creatively and based on the way they want to express themselves. So it can be writing a poem, it can be a strong historical research, or even a play, a painting, anything that can stimulate their curiosity and expand their self-expression. This is the
that
key.
sounds great. That sounds great.
So
yeah, I totally. Yeah.
Sorry, just to finish here, but yeah, we want to mentor them to. There are undervalued resources so much in among the children who don't fit in the traditional school system, and they are judged as failures. Although that they just don't have the same way to learn and grow. So this program is addressed to them, but there's also undervalued resources among seniors. Going into retirement, it is traumatic. It is hugely painful. That such a waste of life experience, skills. And so this program is about connecting children with seniors who can mentor them to create a creative project.
Beautiful.
Whether it's an exhibition, a play, as I mentioned, or a piece of music.
Fantastic. I think they're great ideas.
Amazing. Yeah, it's lovely.
So how can, if people want to get in touch with you or Empath Unity, how can they do that? How can they get in touch with you?
I am in Instagram. I'm not very good, I have to admit. Social media is something that repels me so
Yeah.
much. But you can find me in Instagram at naima.thevampireslayer. You
Okay.
can also email me.
Mhm.
That's the old school fashioned way that I like, is naima@empathunity.com.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Want to
Awesome.
participate to the project or have private session, I offer coaching, holistic coaching, as Lisa does. Coaching mindset is not enough. Everything is, most of it is trapped in your body.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they are draining you so much, is subconscious. So it's really important when the healing is decided from you,
Mm.
and change is meant to happen, to address the three, the mindset and also the body. So
Mm-hmm.
I do energy healing, I do somatic healing using dance, and I do self-development project, as I mentioned.
Fantastic.
Love
Okay,
it.
if anybody needs to get in touch with Naima, definitely go to
Please do.
naima@empathunity.com and get in touch with her. And she can help you through her coaching and through the Empath Unity. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Naima. We've thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, and I'm really pleased that you're able to bring this information to our audience.
It was such a pleasure to
thank
have
you.
this conversation. Thank you, both
Thanks
of
very
Thank you
you.
for all
much.
that you do. It's beautiful.
Thank
Yes.
you.